This is the perfect lamb curry. Silky, luxurious sauce with spoon-tender pink meat for the ultimate mouthfeel. And the best part is, it takes less than an hour, without the grease or heaviness you often get from long, complicated recipes. In the next 9 minutes, I'll walk you through the simple 4-step framework to create the perfect lamb curry or mutton curry. And once you learn this, you'll never cook lamb curry the same way again. Let me show you how. The first step in this blueprint is where the magic quietly begins, dry brining the meat. This simple move makes the meat juicier, more tender, and far more flavorful once it's cooked. Get your lamb or mutton pieces into a bowl. I'm using shoulder cuts here because they have the right balance of meat, fat, and connective tissue, perfect for slow cooking or pressure cooking. Next, take a generous amount of coarse salt and mix it through the meat. I'm using Himalayan pink salt because its crystals are larger and slower to dissolve compared to fine table salt, which makes it perfect for brining. Once mixed, leave the bowl uncovered in the fridge, minimum 2 hours. If you've got time, let it sit for 2 to 3 days. The longer you brine, the more seasoning and tenderness you'll build into the meat before you even start cooking. Salt pulls the moisture out of the surface of the meat. That moisture dissolves the salt, creating a concentrated brine right on the meat. Then slowly the meat reabsorbs it, carrying the seasoned water deep inside. At the same time, the surface dries out, which sets us up beautifully for browning later. Without that dry surface, you'll never get a proper sear. Once you're ready to cook, slice 3 to 4 red onions and dice 2 tomatoes. If you want to sneak in more nutrition, feel free to throw in a carrot or 2 as well. The shape doesn't matter, rough cuts are fine. And you'll see why soon enough. These are going in mostly for flavor, not presentation. The second step in this blueprint is searing the lamb. This is where you start building layers of flavor with a strong Maillard reaction, causing that deep, savory browning on the meat you cannot fake with spices alone. Start with a stainless steel pan, give it a minute to heat up, then add about a tablespoon of oil along with a tablespoon of ghee. The oil keeps the ghee from burning, while the ghee adds richness and aroma. Next, drop in a few whole cumin seeds. As soon as they sizzle and release their fragrance, swirl them around so the flavor infuses evenly across the oil. This becomes the base note for everything that follows. Now add your lamb, but do so in batches. This part is critically important. If you crowd up the pan, the meat will release too much moisture, and instead of searing, you'll end up steaming it. That means grey meat, no browning, no flavor. By giving each piece enough space, you allow the surface to caramelize properly. Now what you're aiming for is not a hard crust but a golden brown sear on all sides. Enough to see clear browning, not so much that it looks burnt. Each piece should look appetizing on its own even before the curry. Once the meat is done, take it out and set it aside. But hey, notice that fond left behind? That is flavor gold. Drop your onions straight into the same pan, sprinkle a pinch of salt and stir. The salt will help release the water in the onions, which in turn lifts all those caramelized bits off of the bottom. Stir and fold that back into the onions and you've just created a concentrated flavor base. To give it a punch, add a tablespoon of ginger garlic paste and give it a good stir. Now as the onions turn pinkish and soft like so, it's time for the spices. I like to add them one at a time so each one has its own moment. First, a teaspoon of turmeric. Give it a mix. Then a tablespoon of Kashmiri red chili powder. This spice is mild on heat but deep on color, so the curry takes on that gorgeous red tone. If you prefer more heat, go ahead and mix in regular chili powder. If you don't have access to Kashmiri red chili powder, consider adding high quality paprika instead. If your pan gets too hot, add a small splash of water to cool down the temperature. Finally, add 2 tablespoons of coriander powder, which rounds everything out with body and a hint of citrus. Now, can you add more spices? Yes! Go for garam masala, cardamom, cinnamon, whatever is your jam. It's your curry after all. But here's the thing. Too many spices can make the dish feel noisy. Often, less is more. A few well-chosen flavors combined with the right technique will give you a curry that tastes clear and balanced rather than cluttered. And just to be clear, store-bought spices are absolutely fine. The difference between fresh ground and packaged spices is tiny compared to the impact of the technique we are using. If you follow this blueprint, the curry will still shine. Now let the spices cook gently, but don't let them burn. The moment they look roasted and aromatic, add the diced tomatoes, and their moisture will stop the spices from scorching and help pull everything together into a thick, fragrant base. Once the tomatoes have broken down and softened, cut off the heat. The curry base is now ready and we are set up for the next step.
The next step in our blueprint is pressure cooking.
I get it. Pressure cookers don't have the same romantic image as a pot simmering away on the stove for hours. But the truth is, pressure cooking is simply too efficient to overlook. It does three things very well at once. It drastically cuts down cooking time, it preserves nutrients better than open pot cooking, and it locks in aromas and seasonings so the flavors don't just float away.
It is non-negotiable for this blueprint, so let's move on.
Start by adding your onion tomato base into the pressure cooker. Next, add the seared lamb pieces. Then deglaze your searing pan with a little hot water. Scrape down every brown bit and pour it in. That's all flavor, you don't want to waste it. For liquid, I'm using chicken stock. I usually keep some frozen in batches, so it's always on hand. If you don't have chicken stock, you've got options. A bouillon cube works just fine. Or take mushroom stems, microwave them in water for 2 minutes and you've got a quick umami-rich stock. If you have none of these options available, plain water will still do. Just know that the overall flavor won't be quite as deep. Now I'm using an electric pressure cooker for precision, but a stovetop one works just fine. If you're going to pressure cook for about 15 to 18 minutes, I usually set mine at 18 minutes on medium pressure. Once the timer runs out, release the steam, open the lid and take a look inside. The meat should now be tender and juicy, sitting in a rich, aromatic broth. Now this broth may look thin for now, and that's exactly what we want, because in the next step, we'll transform it into a silky, luxurious sauce, better than what most restaurants serve. We're now on to our final step, the one that truly separates average curries from memorable ones. Take the meat pieces out of the cooker and set them aside. What you're left with is a broth that looks very watery at the moment, and that's exactly how it should be at this stage. Don't let the appearance fool you, it's packed with flavor. To give it body, strain the broth through a sieve into a saucepan. Use the back of the ladle to press down on the soft vegetables and spices, squeezing out every last drop of the liquid. That liquid is gold. Scrape down the outside of the sieve too, then discard what's left behind. Now it's time to put on your pro chef hat on. Bring the sauce to a boil, then drop the heat and let it simmer gently until it reduces by more than a half. This takes patience, usually about 20 to 30 minutes, but it's absolutely worth it. As the sauce reduces, it transforms. It thickens, the flavors concentrate, and the color deepens into a glossy, luxurious red. This single technique of reduction is one of the most underrated moves in home cooking, yet it's standard practice in Michelin-starred kitchens all across the world. You'll know it's working when you can see the line on the pot where the sauce started and the level has clearly dropped. At this point, it's the perfect time to balance the flavors. Scoop some out to see how it tastes. You'd likely need a touch of salt, a squeeze of honey for sweetness, and a splash of acid. I'm using a coconut vinegar over here, you could use a white vinegar if you'd like. That sweet-sour balance is what sharpens the sauce and makes it pop. Once reduced and seasoned, cut the heat and let the sauce rest for about 5 minutes. As it cools, the flavors settle and intensify even further. You might notice a light, gelatinous film forming on top. That's collagen from lamb broken down during the pressure cooking. It's a sign that you're on the right track. Finally, add the lamb pieces back into the sauce, reheat gently, and this is what you get. A silky, reduced curry clinging to tender lamb pieces, deep in flavor, rich in color. Look at this. The meat is so tender, it breaks down with just the back of a spoon. Pink inside, but meltingly soft. Exactly what we set out to deliver. Now here's a bonus tip. Make extra, because if you refrigerate this overnight and reheat it the next day, the flavors go even deeper. Everything harmonizes and the curry somehow tastes even better. If you found this blueprint helpful, consider subscribing. I'll be sharing more cooking systems like this that take the guesswork out and give you perfect results every time. And if you're still here, watch this next.